Good morning and welcome to my channel. My name is Shoshana and I am a guide to life. I help people navigate through emotional processes and the spiritual awakening to come out of their box and into their authentic selves. And I want to talk a little bit about the pain that we feel during the spiritual awakening, that we have to go through the entire range of our emotions, the entire um, spectrum of emotions to fully know ourselves and to know what we are capable of. And as we become, it's kind of like a shifting. It's like you let go of your past beliefs and there's new, it's a slow process and it is irreversible. Once you have that awakening, which can happen all at one time, a Kundalini awakening, or usually it's a process. It starts opening and you start seeing falsities and things start falling out, and then you start becoming a little bit confused about who you are and what's important, and every thought that you have deepens and deepens and deepens, and then sometimes it'll lead into all of a sudden this aha moment, which is like a Kundalini awakening, and your whole body, you feel surges of energy flowing through your body, and from that point nothing is ever the same. And there's a lot of things that can trigger this. It can be triggered by a trauma, by a life change, by a divorce, by losing somebody close, by losing a job. And sometimes it just, you get so frustrated in the run of life, and you're running and running and running, and for this could even be for years you're in that process of running, right? Because we're born complete clean slates, and then we start being conditioned, told at first we're open to the world and we're playing and we're curious. And slowly, as we're being conditioned, we start confining ourselves and being confined and conditioned that we have to be in this little box by school, by society, by the grander consensus, by our parents, and a lot of times it's even unknowingly. It's done under a umbrella of getting us ready for life and love, because they do not know what they do. Just like a lot of our life, if we can look back, we can see that a lot of the things that have led us to this spiritual awakening, we have been sleepwalking. We weren't even aware of what we were doing. We were acting within our conditioning. But always there's something inside knowing that, wait a minute, there's more. Wait a minute, who am I? Why am I doing this? And you're running after satisfaction in the material world, where and constantly seeking that satisfaction from something outside of you, which was how we were conditioned to believe. We have to grow up, and we have to do these stages, and where dependent on where you grew up or what society standards were, or religious constructs, or um, if you were in the city or in a farm life or whatever setting you were raised in. There are different conditionings that you go through in the way that you are supposed to be. But every single one of us is an individual, and every single one of us has our own unique gifts, and especially those of us that have very high spiritual gifts, that are empaths and meant to be a bridge between the world. We were never taught who we were. And not only were we not taught who we were always outcast from society, and maybe not even outcast so much as feeling different and feeling like we don't belong, and feeling like, well, everybody else has it figured out, but I can't. Why can't I attune myself to the norm, that we are not normal? Which is, we're just everybody. There is no such thing as the normal. There are more mainstream, but there is no such thing as normal, because each and every one of us is individual and has our own unique gifts to bring into the world. And as we begin, as either there's a trigger, or it's a process, or it just gets so much pressure that we can't take it. So something in us just feels like it wants to explode out of us. We just cannot live that inauthentic life anymore. or live according to societal standards because something within us wants to be born out of us. And it's when your calling, your soul's purpose can no longer be muffled, can no longer be pushed and contained in you. It has to start beginning to get some kind of expression. And then you have this awakening, which a lot of times is an epiphany. And sometimes you can just change your life like that. You can just go, whoa, wait, I've been sleeping. Yeah, and this is when there's like instantaneous, like, I'm getting a divorce. I'm quitting my job. I don't know what's going to happen, but I can't go on like this. I can't. And then there are life changes that happen. And what happens inside is a slow shift, because as you lose these beliefs that you were conditioned to believe and they start falling out, you start gravitating towards you what is more aligned with your soul. And this is kind of a gradual shift, a gradual handoff. You hand off one for the other. It's a replacement. And this is something that happens gradually. And as you're going through this, there's a lot of confusion because you're flipping back and forth. Like, you can see this. Sometimes this is just the most clear thing in the world. And then you get thrown back down into your old beliefs. And you're like, well, wait a minute. I need to make things happen. And then you start having, the further the two worlds start separating and getting, the further that you rise into yourself, when you have those glitches back into the old way of thinking or the old constraints, it is more and more painful, because it is not only way further away from where you have already come, so you feel like you're regressing or going backwards, and it's painful to go backwards because we can't go backwards. But not only that, it's also when you're in that and you believe that and you're this far away from it already, you feel that distance within you. You feel like you're being torn between two worlds. And it can be very, very confusing, because as you're losing these beliefs, you haven't formed these beliefs yet. So that shift, that medium place, that place where you do the handoff, is a place of a lot of confusion, and a lot of pain arises in that place. And as we're losing our old selves, everything that we have been conditioned to believe starts coming to the surface. All of our emotions, all of the traumas that we have. It's like you take a cup. I always give this. You take a cup that has coffee grounds at the bottom and you start stirring it. It's all coming up to the surface. So when you start pulling one little nug, I don't know what that means, but okay, you start pulling at one nug and it just gets everything loose, because everything is connected to everything. So once you find one falsity, you're like, okay, wait a minute, what was that? Maybe there's more. But not only that, once you pull out one falsity, you see that it starts dragging with it so many other falsities, because that falsity is a symptom of a underlining core wound belief of, I am inadequate. I don't know the best way. It's insecurity. It's I am not worthy. And then when we believe we're not worthy, that's when we adopt all these false beliefs. So every single false belief that you have is sitting on top of that core wound of unworthiness and abandonment. It all goes back to that. And so once you find one thing and once you start that awakening, you have to purify yourself completely. It will not stop until you get to that divine purity. And as long as we're in this human form, we are going to be expanding and progressing and realizing. But you do get to a place where you do purify those false beliefs and you align yourself with your higher self. The more you can surrender into it, the more you allow those traumas and that pain to come up. You will feel it in every part of your being. You will feel it emotionally. You'll feel it energetically. You will feel it in your body physically. You will feel the pain in your mind. The pain of losing yourself, of ego death, it touches every single aspect of yourself, because it is purifying you in every place. Every single place that you are in some kind of false belief has to come to the surface. And when it surfaces, it brings up all the past pain. we close off traumas because we're afraid to feel those emotions. So when you pull a trauma out, you're pulling it out with all its baggage and pus and all of everything that comes out with it. So, and I know that's kind of like but that is what it is. You're pulling out all of those emotions and all of the things that were also, it's like when you pull out a core, you pull out all of its spurs, all of the places that it expanded into your life. Now you're having to pull out. So your entire identity, your entire who you are is changing, because when you have a core wound, when you were wounded as a child and you created some kind of mechanism to protect that wound so that you don't have to feel those emotions, then it created all sorts of warped behaviors of avoidance, to avoid feeling that emotion. But these emotions are part of who we are. They're part of life. They're part of the way that we navigate through life. So you cannot go through life without feeling that emotion. That emotion has been completely closed off because we are afraid of our own selves, right? Because the emotion is within us. It's our emotion is what we attach to situations. It is something, there's a situation, there is no emotion out there. The emotion is all in here. So anytime we're afraid of feeling something, we're afraid of our own self, we're afraid of our own expansion, we're afraid of the range of emotions that we have. And the more that we allow ourselves to surrender into our own emotions and allow those emotions to come up, sometimes they don't even have thoughts attached to them. Sometimes these emotions are so deep that we close them off as babies before we even have memory of what made us close them off. And anytime something triggers, anytime something comes in and tries to tickle that little hurty spot, we've created these reactions to go, nope, protecting it. And these reactions outwardly have all sorts of different behaviors attached to them. It could be you get angry, you blow up, you don't even know that you're doing it. You don't even know why you're doing it. And when you blow up like that or go into defensive mode, and it affects the person that is uh, uh, um, in front of you. And a lot of times you're like, well, why are they acting like that? What did I do? All I did was, and it seems like a little deal to you, which it can touch somebody else and trigger their triggers. And so it creates, when you have something in you that is off, that is a mechanism that you created in order to protect this little thing that you don't want to feel, it has the butterfly effect. Just like when you are spot on, and you come with that radiance and that life power and that confidence, and that has the butterfly effect, because it will draw people to you. When you are genuine, when you are open, when you are authentic, that will draw people to you because they feel that they can be authentic with you. And that's how we heal the world, right? So everything that we do affects our surroundings. This is a co-creation. We are part of something so much grander than us and magnificent. So when those emotions start rising, first of all, just know that the only way that they can begin to arise is if you are strong enough now to deal with them, because as long as you're not strong enough to deal with them, they stay closed. So just the fact that you can feel them and that those old traumas are rising up, it means that you are ready now to deal with them. And if they're rising and you're still avoiding, there is way more pain in that avoidance than there is in just opening the box, because once you look at it, it dissipates. Once you're willing, that trauma comes up and there's pain, and you're like, no, I don't want to see it. I don't want to look at it. It hurts so bad. But then once you are willing to go, okay, I surrender. Let me see. And you look at it, it's like, whoa, it wasn't as bad as I thought. And then all of a sudden you have the capability of using that emotion in life to heal others, to get into awkward situations that otherwise you wouldn't have gotten into. So then it expands your life in that way. All of a sudden, there's so many more options open to you, because you're not afraid that if you get into a situation, you're not going to know how to handle it, or you're not going to be capable of going through that emotion. And so just the fact that those emotions are coming up now is a telltale sign that you have become so strong. So it is good. Yesterday, I was having a conversation with a lovely woman, and she was talking of her childhood traumas. And at some point, I said to her, yeah, part of me wants to say, I'm really sorry that that happened to you. But the truth is, I'm not. Because that is your gift. That is what is going to make you that much stronger. That when you go through those traumas as a child or in adulthood or whenever you go through those traumas or a trauma, it strengthens you. It is an opportunity for growth. It is, you can't go to the, sometimes you have to be forced to go into those depths, because it's just like giving birth to a child. At some point it gets so painful that if you had the choice, you might just stop it right there and say, nope, okay, I'm good, no need. But at some point it takes you and you have no choice. You have to immerse into those emotions. And when that comes, it's better just to surrender into it. Allow yourself to feel it. Say, okay, what is this emotion coming to teach me? Even if it means you have to go lay in bed for 2 days and squirm around in it. You allow yourself to feel, because at some point you're going to be like, okay, I'm just done with this. I don't feel like feeling, and you'll be just done with it. And you will be able to deal with it. You say, okay, that happened. That did happen. That really happened. What is the lesson in this that I can take? Because I'm not willing to continuously give my power to that trauma that happened to me. Because if I'm continuously living it and continuously not willing to face it, and oh no, I'm avoidant of anything that's going to trigger that in the world, then you are giving your power away to a trauma in the past that doesn't necessarily have to have, it's like you're letting the trauma win. It's like you're saying it's a cop out. You're giving up on your own self. You're saying, okay, I give my power over. I'm incapable of handling this. And what you realize is that the pain in not handling the pain is so much greater, because you're missing out on your life. You're missing out on all of the opportunities and options that you do have and that are open for you, and the grandness of it, and your own self. You're hiding from yourself. You're hiding from your own emotional depth or your own emotional expansion. And once you allow yourself to fully expand, it's just like there's dark and light, right? So when you allow yourself to fully feel that, then you open up the heights of that too, because now you're free to soar. You're not afraid that, oh no, it's going to touch my little touchy place. And it opens up your life in ways that you could never imagine until you do it. You cannot imagine. It's like when you meet somebody that you just fall in love with instantly. You could have never imagined that that person existed, even if you dreamed about your perfect mate and you had these grand ideas. But when it really comes, it is so much sweeter, because there's so many things there that just surprise you, because you could have never imagined it in your life, because your imagination is limited to your belief system. Many times you don't even allow yourself to imagine the grandness of it, because something in you is afraid that, oh, I'm going to be disappointed. I can't imagine that I'm going to be in full love and expansion, because it'll never happen for me. So you don't even allow yourself to go there, because you don't want the disappointment of it not being. Whereas if you don't allow yourself to imagine it, there is no option for it for something greater to come in, right? If you're just stuck in your stagnant. So just begin to open up and discover, be curious, get curious. That your curiosity is going to pull you. Your curiosity is going to lead you through those doors that are closed and open up those doors for you. It always does. When you're curious, you follow your nose, and it leads you to magnificent places. Act on your intuition. Act on your inspiration. Act on those surges of energy. If you feel a light surge of energy that comes in and lifts you up, and you have this grand idea, and you're like, oh, take one step towards it. It'll open up for you. You have to set it in motion. You'll set it in motion. It's so much easier to set something in motion when you're inspired and you have that lift than if you write it on a piece of paper and it goes into a drawer somewhere for some day. all the planets aligned for you. So I'm sending you guys so much love. If you want a one-on-one session with me to kind of go over, see, I have the garbage I need to take out. So this is like taking out our emotional garbage. Sending you guys so much love. Thank you for being here with me. My contact information is below if you want to set up a one-on-one, schedule a one-on-one session with me. Thank you for being here.